Whenever Bryan talks, I feel like I'm in a TED Talk.
I really appreciate the social work profession in the sense of because of the supervision it has. So I know that social work is not the only profession. I know counselling also has quite a lot of supervision. It's not just a boss like checking on you. Are you doing your work? I'm
not joining social work.
Intense supervision. Wow, that means my boss looking at me intently, making sure I got to do work. No, but they really guide through. Like whenever you have you feel like you're stuck, or you feel like, how can I say this better? How can I help the client better? It's like having someone who is much more senior, working closely with you and working through with you all these things. Times where I feel like, I don't know, this feels very awkward, but I don't know why. My supervisor really helps me to process that, and it kind of helped me explain it and dig deep into why am I feeling that this is an awkward conversation to have with the client. That's something I really appreciate because it's like self-awareness fast-tracked.
Wow.
You don't have to...
Yeah, correct.
One of the clearest memory I have from doing internships in general is nighttime home visits. So we visit our clients to speak to them, hear about their concerns, or just attend to whatever they have for us. I was going for this night home visit. I opened the door. Okay, this family, the parents are divorced. There are 5 children. One of them has cerebral palsy. But something that stood out for me is when I entered this house, the gate was unlocked. So I'm like, hello. I'm going to give a pseudonym. Madam City, for example. Hello, Madam City. Hello. Then the door is unlocked. And then when I walked in, the whole house was dark except the light from the TV. And her room was so dark except for this orange night light. Me and my supervisor were asking her, can we switch on the light? And she was like, no, please don't. I don't want you to see the mess in my room. I don't want you to see my face. And I'm like, okay. So I sat down, and as I was speaking to her, she was weeping very bitterly. So she was crying before we came to visit.
Yeah.
What did that teach me? That taught me that social workers enter into very deep complexities. We enter into the most painful of emotions. We enter when people are crying. It just taught me that social workers handle trust, which is, while fragile, also very precious. And that shapes who I want to be as a social worker. I want to steward this trust well. If you trust me to help you, if you trust me to be on with you in this journey, I want to steward that well.
That's so powerful.
So beautiful.
Whenever Bryan talks, I feel like I'm in a TED Talk.
That's true.
Because I'm going year 1 going into year 2. So I did a mod. So it's called 2105. It's a values and skills building for relationships. And what I didn't expect was this mod actually dives deeper into yourself and actually also understanding your ego, your mind, your traumas, what has bothered you in the past that has led you to the path of social work. And I think what really surprised me in NUS Social Work is also about teaching you to help yourself and discovering who you are. And that's very important because you're going to meet a lot of clients, like the stories that Bryan and Joelle shared, right? And some of these client stories might also trigger some personal feelings of your own. Maybe you went through a similar story as your client, or maybe you're a very empathetic person and you just feel feelings very strongly. 2105 really helped me to discover myself, helped me to also realize why I'm exactly on this path and how maybe are there certain client profiles that I need to be more wary about, and am I able to even work with them? So just for example, I previously used to be underprivileged and disadvantaged and always have a heart for these youths because I used to be like them. So I do work for a charity now that works with youths like this, and I think for me I have to always exercise extra self-awareness and caution when working with these youths because my biasness might come in to want to do things for them that's out of the job scope or not professional. So that's where I need to call myself out. And I think 2105 really helps me to actually see what is my blind spot. Where am I acting this intention out from? Is it from the client's perspective or is it from my perspective and what I think is right? So it really teaches me I need to be self-aware, and I also need to understand should I be working with this kind of people? Will it trigger me too much? Maybe I should look at the different demographic and social profile of clients to work with. What I really appreciate about NUS Social Work as well is how it helps me to realize that we need to help ourselves first before we can even help other people. It's like filling up your own cup before you pour into others, especially when you're dealing with a lot of emotional cases, like what Bryan shared earlier as well. It can be a lot to take in as well. And also they teach you how to release these emotions in a healthier and process them better as well. So that's why we have supervision, like what Joel mentioned as well. So I think that's something that I was really grateful that NUS's social work curriculum actually covers.
I think it reminded me of actually the 305 the module.
Oh, okay.
I remember we did this exercise on reflexivity.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Then so basically we had to draw different circles of our own identity. So starting from something very core to us, like male, my age, what's my identity roughly? Maybe I'm a son in my family. And slowly expanding out to something more specific, my major, and what's my specialization in my major. At the end of the whole exercise of drawing all these concentric circles, we labeled with some like green or red post-its, which are the ones that we experience privilege or marginalization in. And then you get a sense of actually how you perceive yourself also. Do you feel that you are marginalized generally, or do you feel that you are privileged? So I think I felt quite privileged because mine quite green.
Actually, I find it kind of beautiful that social work is one of the few professions that the more you learn your skill, the more you learn about the people you're helping, the more you learn about yourself.
Yeah.
And actually that scares me quite a bit.
Yeah,
But
it
that's
does.
beautiful about social work. In helping others, I help myself. In helping myself, I help others.
Yeah,
And this is one of the very few professions that does this.
I agree.
So I thought it's beautiful.
I think the challenge is social work that a lot of people may not understand. They always feel like it's a very easy module or very easy major.
Yeah.
Is that I remember in 2105, so every tutorial session is a role play with a client. So you're a social worker and a client is your classmate. Then you keep role playing. When it was my turn to role play, I felt very drained after the role play.
Reels.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then I had to ask myself, okay, why am I so drained and how can I make more space for this? And I felt very scared also because I'm like, if one client makes me feel like this, then I have to deal with maybe 10, 20 clients at one time, right? And then I was a bit scared. And I was like, okay, so I actually need to dive deeper and ask myself like, how can I create more space, and why is it that my emotional capacity or my headspace is so small now? And then it helps you to be more inquisitive into your mind. So the challenge is actually more personal. And I think like a lot of majors maybe don't have that personal challenge that helps you to be a better person. But I think social work really values that and it integrates it into the curriculum. So I really enjoyed that a lot.